The Mad Titan have come to deliver a message. The Endgame is upon us, and there will be no mercy. To tell you this story, I will bring upon us a most glorious warrior that only the power of the Infinity Stones could fathom.
Whoa! How did I get back in here? And that was irresponsible leaving this lying around. Well, since I'm already here, I might as well talk to you guys about Endgame. Now, the first part of this video is going to be spoiler-free, but it's not going to take me long before I got to get into some spoilers, because I don't know how to talk about a movie that's this great without talking about what I like. So I will warn you before we get there, but we will get there. First off, guys, I don't feel like this is a spoiler to tell you guys that you don't need to wait around at the end of the movie at the post-credit scenes, because for the first time since Iron Man #1, there is no post-credit scenes. Now, at first, I didn't know how to feel about this, but then I thought about it, and, well, it's the end of an era, it's the end of a saga, so what are they going to tell you? What are they going to show you? But regardless, there's no need to wait, guys. Just letting you know. Guys, I don't know about you, but I would say that this is probably one of the most heavily anticipated Marvel movies in some time. This is the end of an era. It's an end of a saga. We're going to start getting into some new stories after this one, but this one is the big movie. It's Endgame. So obviously, Marvel could not drop the ball on this one. This movie was spectacular. It's about a 3-hour-long movie, and every minute of it is worth watching. Now, being a 3-hour movie, there is some slower parts, but they all tie in very nicely with the rest of the story. In a 3-hour period, that's a long time to tell a story, and they do a great job with it. Now, without giving anything away, I can't really say too much more about this movie, except for it's definitely worth the watch. If you haven't seen it, what are you doing? Get up, go see it. Except for the fact that it's probably sold out, but see it as soon as you can. It's highly recommended. You're gonna love it. Okay, so now, let's get on to some of the spoilers. This is the point of the video where if you have not seen the movie yet, you're gonna want to pause this or stop it and come back to it later and watch it when you've seen the movie. So I really like this movie. In my opinion, this movie was as good as the last one. I'm not going to say it was better than the last one, because I'm undecided at the moment, but I really enjoyed this movie. The time travel aspect of this movie had me a little bit worried, but they pulled it off. They did it very well, and it was enjoyable. First off, let's talk about some of the characters in this movie. Some of the characters that have returned, and some of the characters that have changed. First, Thor. We've got Fat Thor, which I never thought I'd see. Ladies, if you were waiting for a fit Hemsworth with his shirt off, sorry to have to break this to you. Not happening in this movie. He does have his shirt off, but he's chunky Thor. Just a warning. But it is humorous, and it's kind of nice to see kind of a broken Thor. It's not something you see a lot in the other movies, and it adds a lot of depth to him. So I'm okay with what they've done with that character in this movie, as long as he gets his act together. If they use him in more movies, which it appears they might do in possibly Guardians of the Galaxy. I don't know. That part in the end where he was on Quill's ship with the Guardians kind of makes me think that they might put him in that movie. Almost as Guardians of the Galaxy, if you will. Second off, we've got the Hulk, who has turned into, essentially, Professor Hulk, which is a combination of the personalities of Banner and the Hulk. And it's done through a scientific method. One complaint that I might have about this character, and the only complaint I have about this character, is that the voice of the Hulk, or Professor Hulk, is dead on Banner's voice. And I wish maybe it had been a combination of both a little bit, so that it was more Hulky, but you could still hear Banner's voice in it. His appearance does look very Banner-ish, which I'm okay with. I think he looked good. A lot of humorous parts in this movie based around this character, so that's great. Characters that have come back, tons of them. I'm only going to mention some of my favorites, one of them being Spider-Man Peter Parker. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan, so I'm glad to see him back, and the part where him and Tony Stark have that heartfelt hug, and Tony realizes that he's gotten Peter back because he feels devastated that he let the kid down. That's a really nice part. I liked it a lot. We have Groot back. Young Groot. So you don't see too much of him, but it is nice to have Groot back. Another one of my favorites. We have the Black Panther is back, and he brings the forces of Wakanda with him. So definitely glad to see them. We also have the Scarlet Witch, which is badass. She came into this movie just flaring, saying to Thanos, you know, "You've taken everything from me." And her eyes light up, and she just lets loose. And Thanos says to her, "I don't even know who you are." And then she just lets him have it, and she was kick-ass. We also have the Falcon and Bucky and plenty others that have returned to this movie through the snap that was done by the Hulk wearing the hero's version of the Infinity Gauntlet with the stones. Now, let me get into my favorite parts of this movie. So, when Thor, Fat Thor, in the past, summons Mjolnir to him, I was ecstatic. Mjolnir is back. And he holds his hand out, and Mjolnir comes to him. And I think it is absolutely hilarious that he's essentially stolen Mjolnir from the past Thor. So just the fact that Mjolnir is back. Mjolnir is a character in herself, as far as I'm concerned. I'm a big fan. When Thor wields both Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, and there's thunder coming off of him, and he's just, that's the most badass you see him in this movie, and it is glorious. The only thing that rivals that part in this movie for me is when Captain America picks up Mjolnir, and you see Captain America swinging that hammer around, swinging Mjolnir around, shield in the other hand, and just running at Thanos. And you know, it's hard to picture something more badass than that. Like, this is brilliant, and those right there are probably the most memorable parts for me, and probably my favorite parts. There are some other parts that I thought were great, and some parts that I thought were absolutely hilarious. One of the most hilarious parts in this movie is when Captain America is fighting himself from the past, and he gets knocked back, and the past Captain America says, "I could do this all day," and he goes, "Oh, I know." He knocks the old Captain America down, and he goes, "That is America's ass." that's hilarious. Another really funny part involving the Hulk is when they go back to the past and they see the past Hulk snapping and freaking out and just jumping up and down on that car. And then Captain America says to the Hulk, to Professor Hulk, maybe smash a bit. And all lackluster, Professor Hulk goes over and he's just tapping cars and stuff like that. Rawr, just not into it, and it's quite funny. Another pretty badass part in this movie is Captain Marvel. For quite a bit of the movie, Captain Marvel is gone away under the concept that everything that's going on Earth is also going on other planets in the solar system, and there's nobody else to take care of this. So she is the only one that's taking this upon herself. And then she comes back. You almost forget about her. And then during the big fight scene, which we'll get into in a moment, there's a bunch of lasers coming down from Thanos' ship, and it redirects its lasers to the sky, and then all of a sudden you see this big light, and it is Captain Marvel, and she comes down and just flies right through the ship several times and just explodes the ship, and that is just like a massive power. She comes down at one point, and Peter Parker's got the new Infinity Gauntlet, and he says, you take it, but I don't know how you're gonna get past them. And then a bunch of them bind together and say, well, we got your back, but I don't think she needed it, because she took off and she blasted through everything that she came through, and only to get nearly to her destination, and then it was foiled by Thanos. But when she grabs the gauntlet, when Thanos goes to snap, after putting it on, Thanos goes to snap, and she grabs that gauntlet, and she goes head to head with Thanos, and that's when you truly see the power that she has. Then when Thanos, struggling with Captain Marvel, takes the stone out of the gauntlet and just freaking piles her and blows her back. What an amazing part. So more about the battle scene in this. It is, again, like the first movie, there's a big battle scene, and it's absolutely epic. This is the scene where all of the other characters are finally returning. Doctor Strange has opened up some portals where the Wakandans have come in, and Peter comes back, and the Guardians of the Galaxy come back, and they all join forces to take down Thanos. And it is a pretty epic scene. I'm not going to go too much further into it because it would take a long time, but just take some time to really enjoy that scene. Now, when Tony goes and wrestles Thanos a little bit, and Thanos pushes him back, and then he goes to snap, and he finally gets that snap off, and nothing happens. And then it pans over, and you see Tony with his power armor forming into a mini gauntlet with all the power, with all the stones in it, and he makes the snap, and then all the bad guys fade away, and then eventually Thanos sits down with one of those faces, like finally realizing he's beat, and then he fades away too, and then Tony, battered, because he cannot handle the gauntlet with the stones in it, and he passes away. And I feel like it's a very fitting end to Tony. I feel like in an 11-year stretch, it all started with Tony, and it finishes with Tony, and I think that's very poetic. I think that it was very well done. Well, I'm not going to say too much more about the movie, and I know I said there was some spoilers, and there was, but I don't want to give too much away just in case there's people watching that have not seen it yet. But if you haven't seen it yet, you need to go see it. There's one more character I'm going to talk about before I go, and that's Clint Barton. Early on in the movie, Clint Barton's family is seen disappearing, and he's distraught, so he takes on the persona of Ronin, which we knew was going to happen. And Ronin, he goes off and starts killing all the gangsters and all the mobsters and stuff like that are left, because I'm assuming that crime has just flourished since the snap. And he has just lost it until Romanoff has come and kind of picked him up and tried to get him back on the team, with the hopes that he could bring his family back through this time machine method. Again, another spec book that has been rising is the first appearance of Ronin, which is, I'm not certain I have the book. I cannot remember. It's sorry. I know the book, I really do, but you can expect that book to rise a little bit, I think. Not certain that character was portrayed the way I wanted it to be. I would have liked him to be masked more, and the whole concept of Ronin is that he's going incognito type deal. Like, he's not. It's a disguise pretty much. So for him to never use it as a way to hide his identity was a bit weird for me, but I can get over it. So anyway, that's all I have for you today. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and we'll get to another one soon. If you have seen the movie, go see it again. I'm going to see it again on Sunday, and if you haven't seen the movie, go see it, because it's great. It's a wonderful way to end the 11-year saga that has been the MCU, and I'm excited to see what will come in the future. Okay. See you guys later. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Woo! How does this thing work anyways?